today's lesson, we will discuss Prophet Muhammad Part 5. We will divide this unit into two classes because of the length of this unit. In this unit, we will discuss the story of the main three Jewish tribes that lived in the time of the Prophet Muhammad. First, the expulsion of Banu Qaynuqa Jews, أو طرد يهود بنو قينقاع. There were altogether 11 Jewish settlements in North Arabia during the time of Prophet Muhammad. There were three Jewish tribes, or the main three Jewish tribes, Banu Qaynuqa, Banu al-Nadir, and Banu Qurayza. The Jews lived in their own quarters and villages. Banu Qaynuqa had their special settlement inside the city of Medina. Banu al-Nadir had their quarters about 2 or 3 miles to the north of Medina in a fertile valley called Badan. The settlement of Banu Qurayza was situated at a distance called Madur, a few miles to the south of Medina. All Jewish tribes had their fortresses and districts where they lived independently. Every Jewish leader had an Arab ally from among the chiefs of the Arab tribes. And as you have learned earlier, the conflict with the Jews of Banu Qaynuqa was the first ever conflict between Muslims and the Jews. أو الصراع بين يهود بنو قينقاع والمسلمين كان الصراع الأول من نوعه بين المسلمين واليهود بشكل عام. This incident took place in the second year after the Hijrah, after the Battle of Badr. A Jewish jeweler dealt indecently with a Muslim woman customer. She had refused to unveil, but he managed to expose her body by means of a nasty trick. أي تاجر يهودي حاول أن يكشف غطاء أو حجاب امرأة مسلمة، فهذه بطريقة مخادعة أو بطريقة نتنة أو حقيرة. The Muslim woman cried for help, and a Muslim instantly killed the Jewish dealer. بعد أن حاول هذا اليهودي كشف حجاب هذه الامرأة المسلمة، طلبت المساعدة من رجل مسلم، فقام ذلك المسلم بقتل التاجر اليهودي. Jews in turn killed that Muslim. The Prophet hurried to the scene and addressed the Jewish gathering in the marketplace of the city, which was situated in the Jewish quarter. Banu Qaynuqa was very unfriendly towards the Muslims. They were the first of the Jews to break the agreement they had with the Muslims. The Prophet reminded Banu Qaynuqa Jews of the agreement they had with the Muslims and demanded that they abide by its provisions and not break it again. He warned them sternly against any future violations of the agreement. In reply, they arrogantly boasted of their military strength. They unwisely warned the Prophet that he would be defeated should he try to engage them on the battlefield. The Prophet considered their reply a branch of the agreement. أي الرسول اعتبر ردهم كفسخ للاتفاق الذي كان بين المسلمين ويهود بني قينقاع. He proceeded immediately to take an action against them. This led to the expulsion of Banu Qaynuqa Jews from Medina. أي بدأت معركة بينهم، وفسخ المعاهدة بين المسلمين ويهود بني قينقاع أدى إلى أو كانت نتيجته طرد يهود بنو قينقاع من المدينة. أي هكذا تم طردهم من المدينة. القبيلة الثانية, or the second tribe, was Banu al-Nadir. So now we will discuss the expulsion of Banu al-Nadir Jews in the 4th year after the Hijrah. يعني تم طرد يهود بنو قينقاع من المدينة في السنة الثانية للهجرة. أما الآن سوف يتم طرد أو سوف ندرس طرد يهود بنو النضير من المدينة أو من على أطراف المدينة في السنة الرابعة للهجرة. The Jewish tribe of Banu al-Nadir had long been confederates, أي حلفاء دائما مع بعضهم, allies or together in agreement, of Banu Amir. Allah's Messenger decided to ask them to help him pay the blood debt. Blood debt هنا تعني الدية، أي عندما شخص يقتل شخص يدفع الدية. It was due to Banu Amir for the 2 men killed accidentally by Amir ibn Umayyah. الدهمري while he was returning to Medina from بئر المعونة التي درسناها في الحصة السابقة. The Prophet then went to them with Abu Bakr and Umar ibn al-Khattab and some other companions of his and presented the matter before them. أي عرض عليهم الموضوع. The Prophet asked their chiefs to contribute to the blood money أو الدية he had to pay. According to the provisions of the agreement, they were expected to contribute some money towards such payments. أي من الاتفاقات أو جزء من الاتفاق الذي كان بين هاتين القبيلتين بنو عامر وبنو النضير أنهم يتشاركون في دفع الدية أو معاملات من هذا النوع. The agreement called upon the various parties to help each other in such matters. أي كان جزء من الاتفاق بين هاتين القبيلتين أن يقوموا بالتشارك في دفع دية أو أمور من هذا القبيل. Treachery of the Jews. بنو النضير apparently agreed to do what the Prophet requested, أي دفع أو المشاركة في دفع الدية, and invited them to stay until a meal could be prepared for them. The Prophet accepted the invitation. Some of the Jews withdrew, pretending to give instructions about the entertainment of their guests, but then some of them met secretly. They decided that they would never have a better opportunity to assassinate the Prophet since he was seated by the wall, كان يجلس على أو يسند ظهره على حائط of one of their fort-like houses. They asked for a volunteer to climb to the top of the fortress to drop a huge rock down on his head to get rid of him. Amr ibn Jihash ibn Ka'b volunteered to do this. يعني تطوع لرمي الصخرة من فوق الحائط على رأس الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. He climbed up to drop the rock as suggested. Allah's Messenger had been accompanied by his companions, who included Abu Bakr, Umar, and Ali. While they were sitting there in front of one of their fortresses, Jibreel came to the Prophet, Sayyidina Jibreel, unseen by any except him, and informed him that the Jews were planning to kill him and that he must return to Medina at once. أي أتى سيدنا جبريل وحذر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بأن اليهود يخططون لقتله وأمره أن يعود إلى المدينة. The Prophet then rose and left his company without a word. Everyone assumed that he would quickly rejoin them. But when some time had passed and he had not returned, Abu Bakr suggested to the other companions that they also had to go. So they took their leave of the Jews and went to the Prophet's house. The Prophet explained to them what had happened. Then he sent Muhammad ibn Maslama to Banu al-Nadir, telling him what to say to them. The Prophet's messenger, أي Muhammad ibn Maslama, hurried to their fortresses. When some of their leaders came out to meet him, he told them, Allah's messenger has sent me to you, and he says, by your scheming to kill me, أي بتخطيطكم لقتلي أو محاولتكم لقتلي, you have broken the pact. كسرتم العقد أو الاتفاق الذي بيننا I made with you. He then recounted to them the exact details of their plot, as the Prophet had bidden him to do. Finally, he delivered the main point of his message. I give you 10 days to depart from my country, said the Prophet, and if any of you is seen after that, he will be killed. أي الرسول أرسل مرسال وهو محمد ابن مسلمة لتحذير يهود بني النضير وإخبارهم بما أنهم قد نقضوا العهد المبرم بينهم وبين المسلمين من خلال أو بمحاولتهم لقتل الرسول. قرر الرسول طردهم خارج المدينة وتحذيرهم بأن أي شخص منهم سوف يبقى في المدينة سوف يتعرض للقتل. The rule of عبد الله ibn أبي. هذا المنافق اللي درسنا عنه سابقا لعب دور كبير في إشعال الفتنة بين اليهود والمسلمين. Most of the Jews had already started making preparations to leave. But in the meantime, they secretly conspired with the hypocrites among the Arabs of Medina, who were led by Abdullah ibn Ubay, the main hypocrite. He promised the Banu al-Nadir armed support by 2,000 warriors in case they decided to remain in their fortified settlements on the outskirts of Medina. أي هذا المنافق عرض على يهود بني النضير اللي الرسول هددهم أو أمرهم بالخروج خارج المدينة، عرض عليهم أنه سوف يقدم دعم أو يقدم لهم دعم مسلح أي بجيش بتعداد 2000 مقاتل إذا قرروا مخالفة طلب الرسول والبقاء في المدينة. Saying, do not leave your homes. If the Muslims fight against you, we shall fight side by side with you. And if they succeed in driving you away, we shall leave Medina with you. أي إذا أردتم البقاء ومقاتلة المسلمين سوف أدعمكم ب2000 مقاتل مسلح، وإذا قررتم المغادرة سوف نغادر معكم. حيي ibn Akhtab, one of the Jewish chiefs, with much difficulty persuaded them to stand firm. He felt sure that their Bedouin allies wouldn't fail them in this crisis. He dispatched urgent appeal to the Jews of Banu Qurayza for help. He then sent his brother to the Prophet with the message, we shall not leave our dwellings and our possessions, and so do what you will. Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, the Prophet exclaimed. The Jews have declared war. Then he immediately collected an army, and placing the banner in the hands of Ali, he set off for the settlements of Banu al-Nadir, a little to the south of the city. He appointed Abdullah ibn Maktoum in charge of the city. أي من هذا الحدث نفهم أن اليهود قد أعلنوا بمساعدة المنافقين طبعا قد أعلنوا الحرب على المسلمين. Huyay ibn Akhtab was very excited by Abdullah ibn Ubay's offer. He felt that there was an excellent chance to defeat the Muslims. The Muslims' morale, he imagined, أي معنويات المسلمين, was very low after their near defeat at Uhud and the massacre of their companions at الرجيع and بئر المعونة. أي استغل أن المسلمين كانوا خارجين من معركة أحد مهزومين والحادثتين التي درسنا عنهما سابقا وهما حادثة الرجيع وبئر المعونة التي قتل فيها أصحاب للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Muslims prayed the afternoon prayer in the spacious courtyard which the Jews had now vacated since it was outside their defenses. After the prayer, the Prophet led his troops towards the fortresses. The ramparts were armed with archers and slingers. They had also rocks at their disposal in case the walls came to be attacked. The two sides kept up an exchange of arrows and stones until dark. The Jews thought help would come from Banu Qurayza and Abdullah ibn Ubay. Their allies of Ghatafan would be with them in a couple of days, they thought. Meanwhile, the Muslim army surrounded the enemy on all sides. أي حاصر جيش المسلمين قبيلة بنو النضير من جميع الاتجاهات. The Prophet prayed with them and then returned with 10 of his companions to Medina, leaving Ali in charge of the camp. So, inshallah, in the next class, we will continue discussing our story. Because of this because of the length of this unit, we are forced to divide it into two separate classes. So see you in the next class, inshallah.